Hello friends, Chicago Tony V here, and in my previous video I talked about the things I really love about Overeaters Anonymous and other 12-step compulsive overeating programs. And in this video I'm going to talk about the one or two things that I really think these programs get wrong, and ultimately why I'm no longer a day-to-day practicing member of Overeaters Anonymous. So before I go too deep into this video, in case you didn't see my previous video, I want to make it clear that I'm a huge fan of OA. I really love my friends that I made in OA. I love what the group stands for, and I think it could really help a lot of people. But this video is really about just a few things that I think OA gets wrong. And the main one is this idea that if you are a compulsive overeater, you have a disease or a dis-ease. In other words, you know, what we're taught in these 12-step programs is that you have some sort of abnormal reaction to the modern food supply. And I have come to believe that that's just absolutely not true. That's absolutely not true. I believe the real situation is that whatever reaction you're having to the modern food supply. So in my previous video, I talked about driving down the street, steering with my knees while I eat an ice cream cake in my car. I'm going to say, actually, okay, that's actually not an abnormal reaction to the modern food supply. Okay. An ice cream cake, for example, is not a natural food. It's not food. All right. That's like a drug. It's not like a drug. It's a drug. It's not whole natural food. It's just not. So of course I'm going to have a not natural response, right? But what I've come to understand now is overeating, you know, even overeating when you say I'm not going to do it this time, it is a completely normal response given the makeup of the food supply, these processed foods, okay? Something that always bothered me in OA meetings, and I would say this to my friends, you know, people would just talk about, I just can't stop eating. I just can't stop eating. And I would always want to make a distinction. I would always sort of push back. I would say, well, what about carrots and celery? Can you stop eating carrots and celery? And oftentimes, oddly enough, the answer would be no. Oh, I would go to town on carrots and celery. And I would say, hey, so first of all, that's not true, right? They may think it's true, but it's not true. But I would say, hey, your problem is solved. If you're telling me that you get just as much pleasure out of carrots and celery, there you go. There's your answer. Put down the Charleston chews, right? And just chow down on carrots and celery. Problem solved. You're going to lose a bunch of weight. You're going to be healthier. Your eyesight's probably going to improve. But of course, we know that's not going to happen because carrots and celery are not. They're nothing like Charleston chews, right? So what I'm saying is all these behaviors, the way we can run our lives into the rocks, the way we can make these horrible decisions, we can gain weight even though we don't want to, right? We're about to go on a date next weekend, so we got to really slim down, but we do the opposite, right? We go to the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet. I'm saying these are perfectly reasonable responses to unreasonable food-like substances that are really drugs, okay? That's really what the modern food supply is. So I could never really get on the same page with so many of my friends. It's so interesting. They just didn't want to hear it. And what I did when I joined OA, as I started getting going, is I was honest with myself about the food part of it. And I was pretty clear with myself that there's a distinction. I don't treat a salad. A salad doesn't have power over me, you know, the way the way a birthday cake does, right? It's night and day. So I went into it knowing, okay, really, if I'm trying to stop this stuff that has power over me, there's a whole lot of substances that I'm going to quit. And I guess what I did is I just went further than most people were willing to do. So I pretty much cut out all processed food, right? And what I found over time is that it would really, many of my OA friends didn't like it. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear what I was doing. Or actually, they did want to hear what I was doing because I was losing a lot of weight. I was looking great, feeling great. But once they heard what I was doing, they didn't want to hear anymore. It's like, that's enough. One of my great joys with OA friends was always going out to eat, right? Oftentimes we'd go to a meeting, we'd go to lunch afterwards, that sort of thing. And over time, this became a problem for me as well because I ordered differently because I was not interested in eating processed food. I had given all that up. And I think so many people were hung up on this idea of they have a disease. There's something wrong with them. There's something in their makeup, right? And I felt then, and I feel even more strongly now, that the problem is in the thing that they're ingesting and this thing that they're calling food, but it's not really food, right? It's frankenfood. That's the real problem. So if there's one thing that I could do for my friends in OA is I kind of want to shake some people and say, look, you're fine. This crazy stuff you do with quote unquote food, it's totally natural. It's totally fine. I mean, you need to stop doing it, but stop thinking that there's some problem with you that maybe you can fix by going through all the steps. When really what needs to be done is you need to put down the processed food, only ingest whole natural food, and then over time learn what you're working with. You know, everyone with food addiction problems, you know, talks about the symptoms, right, which are very common. Things like you have this clouded thinking, right? You're depressed. Maybe you have problems sleeping. Certainly you have aches and pains. All sorts of stuff. Mood swings, whatever. I always felt like what you want to do is you want to totally clean up your diet, and then over time see what you're working with. See how you're feeling. Almost like discover who the real you really is. Right? That's what I wanted to do in OA, and it actually helped me do that. I totally cleaned up my diet, and so many things changed. For me, I just felt over time so isolated because no one was really interested in what I was doing, and they kind of didn't want to hear it. And I think there were even resentments. One of the secrets about these places, it's not really spoken about very much, but you at least for the food for Overeaters Anonymous, and I've been in a lot of meetings, a lot of rooms over the years, you don't see a lot of recovery. I'm not saying you see zero, but you don't see a lot. So you see many, many people who never seem to change. They never go anywhere. They still have these health problems. I feel like we're going there because we want to be healthy, happy people, right? I think there's something about the approach to the program that it gives wiggle room for people. And it allows people to just kind of not face facts. So if I could fix what's wrong about OA, and again, this is just my opinion, what do I know? I'm just another bozo on the bus. I'm no expert. But my feeling is there's actually some education that needs to go on that's very specific and makes the point, you know, that, okay, you can take something that you call food, right? But you need to be very specific about it, right? If my friend Paula, who I love, right, but who has problems with food, says, I had a salad for lunch, And if I say I had a salad for lunch, I need to recognize that those two salads could be very, very different, right? And chances are one of those salads has a bunch of fatty salad dressing with lots of sugar in it. It has cheese on it. It has croutons, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get my point? And then the other salad might be completely different, right? It might have a very, very light, low-calorie dressing. It might be free of croutons, free of cheese, whatever. Maybe it's got, I don't know, mushrooms in there. Something, it's just going to be very, very different. And so these details, you know, need to be understood and spoken about. And, you know, there's a reason I eat what I eat. And there's a reason that, you know, I joined OA at the same time as several friends, and I lost in my first year there. I lost I don't know, 75, 80 pounds, and you know, I had friends that lost maybe 5 pounds in that year. Right? There's a reason, okay, and so these details matter. And it's not that there's something wrong with you. You have a disease. This stops people from getting honest about those details, right? Things like calorie density, right? How much fiber am I getting? Things like that. You know, how nutritious is this food? What happens when if you take a bowl of fruit versus putting all that fruit in a blender, you've actually changed the calorie density of this. From a weight loss and health perspective, it's actually different. I'm not saying it's unhealthy, but it's different for you. If someone's eating smoothies every day and I'm eating whole fruit, I'm going to lose weight actually much more quickly. It has nothing to do with the personal makeup or some childhood trauma or something that one of us had, the other did. It has nothing to do with that. So it's this blind spot that I didn't like about OA. And it's, again, this thing that I saw where I just, over time, I had to realize most people aren't getting anywhere. They're still sick. They're still really sick. Don't get me wrong. Nice people, a lot of them my dear, dear friends, that I love them very much. But I kind of asked myself, this is just for me. It's like, why am I keep going back? So what I found, the good news, here's the good news for me. Maybe you're this way, I don't know. And by the way, I'm not saying don't go to OA. I'm not saying that at all. I love it. It could very well work for you, you know. I'm just saying for me, what I did is I kind of took what I learned, and I took really my food plan, my plan, and I found that I could just work it on my own. And it's fine. I was much happier. I was getting healthier. I'm in the process now of getting healthier. And, you know, I don't have to go to all these meetings and kind of feel bad about myself because people want to talk about their disease and all that stuff. I don't know. That's just me. So I don't know if I'm making sense or not. And all I know is this: if you have a challenge with your weight, right? I just want to thank you for watching this video. You know, maybe over time, these videos I put out, maybe they'll help you. The stuff I'm doing has helped me. I'm no expert, and I probably don't have any original ideas. I've researched this stuff for so long to try and figure out how in the world can I keep from dying, you know. But it's turning around. It's going pretty well. So I'm going to just keep documenting that. I have a long way to go. I probably, I probably still need to lose 60, 70 pounds, right? So I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm another bozo on the bus. That's it. But I'm glad you watched today. Thanks for listening to me. I hope I've helped you in some way. And just keep on coming back, all right? I like you. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.